You've lived in Kelly all your life?
Well, I could answer a different way. Not yet, because I haven't lived all my life yet. No, I lived in Kelly since 1925, I guess it was.
Is there anybody else around that's been here that long?
Yeah, what?
Is there anybody else around that's been here that long?
No, not down. Not now, I guess. I think they've all died.
Jackson Hole Journal, sponsored in part by Jackson Hole Title and Escrow Company. This land is your land. Wendy's Old-Fashioned Hamburgers, the best hamburgers and a whole lot more. Dr. Corey Lebercheck and the Jackson Contact Lens and Vision Clinic. Eye care, family vision care, eyeglasses, and contact lenses. And Samuel's Continental Imports, European and American antiques for your home or office.
William Kelly and his wife first came through Jackson Hole in 1898. He liked the valley so much he returned in 1907, homesteaded on the banks of the Goa River. He founded the town of Kelly, which is a name for him. He built up a ranch, buying and selling cattle, and operated a sawmill. He sawed the lumber which was used to build the Episcopal Church in 1911, which was the first Episcopal church in Jackson Hole. He and his wife Sophia left Jackson Hole when the Kelly flood washed away their home and ruined their ranch. He settled near Drake's Idaho, where he bought and sold cattle until he passed away in December of 1955.
I was born in 1902, December the 26th, 1902. Yeah, I was a Christmas baby, and I never got any toys either from then on. Everybody had their money all spent or bought Christmas for everybody else, so I never got any. All I got was work out of the deal. My dad had a place out at Conover, North Carolina. He had a farm out there. I think 120 acres or 160 acres. It wasn't homestead. He inherited it from my grandparents. They homesteaded it. And we lived out on the farm. I was 2 years old. I remember moving from the farm to town where he bought a house in town. Well, it was 5 acres of land in town, had a house on it and a barn. Of course, Conover then was like Kelly. There was very few people there, and everybody knew everybody. But I do know that he bought this 5 acres, and I rode, and when we moved from the farm to town, there was snow on the ground. And he had a load on a sleigh and pulled it with a team of oxen. He had 2 teams of oxen, but he had one that he used on the sleigh. Well, we had one team of horses and 2 teams of oxen on the farm that we farmed with.
Is that your earliest memory?
Huh?
Is that your earliest memory?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my earliest right there to remember of it. which was 1904 when we moved from the farm to town. And I rode the sleigh. I never will forget them auctions. I thought that was a world saver. And actually it was.
This is from the Jackson Hole Courier in December 9th, 1915. The little village of Kelly, in the center of the valley on the Grove River, has taken some life the past few days due to the purchase of the Grove Mercantile Company store by Spicer and Lloyd. And the announcement that the Reed Grocery and Meat Market is also opened a general store in that place on the 15th of the month. Spicer and Lloyd, who operated a merchandise store in Jackson, purchased the Kelly store from Ben Gold and are now on the ground invoicing. When the work was invoicing is completed, the store will again be opened with Walter Spicer in charge. Their announcement will be found in the paper later.
I come into Jackson. My wife and I had a trailer house. It was called a covered wagon, which was one of the best you could buy at that time. And I had a Buick Super, that straight 8, and it was a good automobile, and it was about a year old, a 41 Super Buick that I pulled it with. And I come in down here at Jackson now, where the Jackson Hole Lodge is now, on this side of the eating joint there, was that was the only building along there down there at that. The rest of it was all in a swamp. These other buildings wasn't any out there in Jackson. And I pulled over there. Slim Faircloth had this filling station down there, and he had Luton. Paul Luton was working there at that filling station. And Slim said to me, he said, I told him I was coming now, I'd like to buy a lot or two down there somewhere and build me a house. And they said, well, there's only one real estate broker around here, and it's Mike Yokel, lives over at Wilson. Young Mike died here about a month ago, 2 months ago. No, a little longer than that, about a year ago. Anyway, he was the world champion wrestler for 11 years. But anyway, he said, you see Mike Yokel, and the word hotel, they was just finishing it up. They started it and was just finishing it up. And I went up there and run into Mike Yokel up there, and Slim Faircloth said to me, he said, if you're going to buy some land, you can buy some out here in a little place called Kelly, if you want to go out there and buy some. I said, well, I'll ask Mike here about some lots. And the 2 lots there where the Elks Club is, Mike said, yeah, I got 2 lots right across the street down here. There's nothing else around there. And well, the Conoco bulk station sat right there where Fred's store was, right down the hole of the valley in there, and the bulk station was in there. He said, I got 2 lots right down there. And I said, how much you want for them? He said, I want $500 a piece for them. I said, hell, I don't want to buy Jackson, the whole damn town. I just want a place to build my house. So I wouldn't take them. Slim said, I'll go with you and we'll go out to Kelly. I know some people out there at Kelly. And he knew Eddie Van Fleet. Ms. Van Fleet had this cabin down here. That's the first place we come in with a dump ground down there and drove up here where the house was. Just her out there by herself. And he asked her if she still wanted to sell that place, and she said, yeah. Who wants it? And he said, Mr. Little there that wants to buy this. You want to sell it? She said, is it cash? And I said, yes, it's cash. She said, I don't know whether I ought to sell it till I talk to my son or not. Next day we went home, and the next day I come back out there. She said, come back tomorrow, I'll know he'll be around. And she said, I want $350 for it. That 2-room cabin that had a lot, one lot. So I gave her the $350, and she dug up a deed for it. And that's where I started off from, buying that lot from her. But there was nobody up in here, only Pearl McLaren, well, Pearl Seaton, and Oscar Seaton was the old fellow, lived out and had a little cabin out there at the back of Pearl's barn.
Seemed like it took quite a while for those people that got washed away right here. These all left and went other places, over into Idaho and off these ranches down here. It was a long time before it started getting built back up. They got more people in the valley, and land changed hands, and he's been growing little ever since. But he doesn't very much place to grow because it's park's right around us here. And didn't mean it's right around us. The park lands in the river, but the park owns a lot of these places in here. So people sold out to the park and left and all that business. So.
Well, there wasn't nothing here when Kelly was here, and I bought all this stuff. Built the house here, and built this road that's in here, comes in here. County, they wouldn't build it, but they said they'd let me have the equipment if the guys that worked for the county, if they'd work over the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and they could build this road for me. Because we used to drive right down by the dump ground down here, or either across the field up here and come out up at Pearl. Well, it was Seaton then, Ben Seaton's house. It didn't follow the road down because after everybody washed away, their homes all washed away. Why, people that survived through, I think there was 5, 6, or 7 drowned in that deal, because I bought their property, and the Hanchu sisters had 7 lots right down here, and I bought them 7. And I bought 2 acres over here, and I bought some out there in the field, and all these lots around here, and these houses down here, Bob Connor's house down here, and houses over there on the other side. I bought a bunch of lots over in there. At one time, if I'd have kept all them, the price of lots is now, I couldn't even haul the money off in a big truck if it was in $100 bills. But I thought I was making money, you know. I was doubling my money and most of the time tripling. I bought a lot of these lots here for taxes, you know. Well, cheapest ones I ever bought, I think, was about $37 and a half. And then I would sell them for 100 or 150. I sold Mrs. Stewart, Bob Stewart down there. I sold Bob 4 down there where she lives now. I sold them 4 down there for $100 a lot. And them others on this side over there, in there where this cameraman there worked for the camera, I sold him 3 lots to a fellow policeman down in Jacksonville, Florida. 3, he wanted to come up here and build a house. I got acquainted with him down there, and I had them lots, 3 lots in there where I let him have. If he didn't build there, he was supposed to let me have them lots back at whatever it valued at when he give up on them. And I think he gave me $150, $450 for 3 lots. And he had a heart attack and died, and his wife had to have some money. So I didn't get him. Art Hazen down here, the real estate man, got a hold of her and bought them right out from under me. And just like these that burned down, this house that burned down here, these 3 lots here, we sold that old boy 3 lots, hired Irvin and me. We bought 19 from Bill Kelly that Bill had, owned 19 lots here in Kelly, and we went over and we gave him $750 and paid the taxes on them. And we got 19 lots and scattered all around here in Kelly, different places. Well, my house here, I kept 5 here where the house is.
About the time I was starting to school, and I rode horseback from there to Mar Monroe, where the school was, 5 miles every day. And of course, I couldn't do that in the wintertime. You had to take a team and sleigh to do it. And they finally leased the Jake Johnson place right over there in Mar Monroe, right there close to the school, and lived there until 1924. And he went down to Utah, where my father had a job at the copper mills for a winter. He came back in the early 1925, and Minnie V. Strober owned the store here at Kelly, and she was the postmaster. And she wanted to sell and leave, and folks finally decided to buy the store. And so they did and moved over here, and he was appointed postmaster. Well, he was there on for 5 years, on being postmaster. And during that time was when that slide came down. And while they were here, it started pretty good. The flood came by here and washed nearly all of Kelly away, including the store. And He moved up here for a little ways to Helmer Bark place, and the flood left the store building here and the parsonage and the schoolhouse in the Bark place. They always left to Kelly. So they finally decided to come back down here and see if they could get started again at this store, which they did. And he got sick in several years, and he finally died in 1940. At that time, I was appointed postmaster, and I and my mother run the store, and I run the post office for 45 years over here.
Y'all can clap along if you want to. There you go.
And the bear was pretty sick up there then too. That was in 1946. There was quite a few bear. We set up our camp, and there was an old cabin in there that belonged to a trapper's cabin back, 75, 100 years before. But we put our food in there, and the bear, we locked the door on it, fastened it where they couldn't get in at the door, so they climbed up and dug a hole in the tear the roof off, big enough to go in there. And every can of stuff that we had a label on it when we put it in. When they got through with it, there wasn't a label left. They took a label off. They cleaned every can, and bite holes in it, and tear the label off of every can that was in there. So they kept bothering us so bad, and there was a pair of black ones that was really bad. And I had a good horse, saddle horse that I used anyhow. I wasn't too good at roping, but I could get it on them. I thought I was a good one. But anyway, we had these Roman candles, you know what they are. We thought we wasn't supposed to be shooting them in there, and we had stuff to shoot them with if we had to. But anyway, them damn bear, you never seen nothing like it. They were smarter than we was, 'cause they'd come up and grab something and run off a little ways when we'd take a Roman candle and start shooting at him. And the first shot or two, he'd run and act like he was excited about it. And pretty soon he'd turn around and watch. And when you shoot one at him, he'd see it go by and he'd turn back and wait for another. And he was putting on a show himself. And I said, well, I'll just rope him and hook him onto my saddle horn or my saddle, and I did. I roped him. I think Wayne Meeks, that was Lawrence Carlson's son-in-law, Wilma Carlson's husband. He was there, and we roped this bear and took him out, wrapped it around the saddle horn, and went out into the lake, where he'd have to swim. And the rope would slip around his middle and go back towards his hindquarters, and it would have that horse going through the water, you hold your feet up just where the horse could wade it, didn't have to swim. And we'd drag that bear down that beach line there for a long ways, and he'd be under the water all the time. And we'd stop the horse, and he'd come to the top, and boy, both nostrils just like two spigots. he was plumb full of water. And we finally done that a few times, and I said, well, we'll let him loose, but well, just turn him loose and he'll get the rope off of him. So we turned him loose, and he went to the shore and went up a tree. And he got up in this tree. It was about a 8 or 10 inch tree. Got up to where the limbs was. It was a pine tree is what it was. And we tried to pull him out of there with them ropes. The rope that was on him. And he wouldn't turn loose, and we couldn't pull him out, so we decided somebody said, I don't know, it wasn't me, because I was the one made the suggestion and just leave him alone. Because they said hook him on to that saddle of that horse and let him jerk him out of there. And I said, well, if it did, he'd probably break camp for all of us, because everybody'd come out of there.
Yeah, don't give up now. Let's do it.
Before the flood, Kelly was a thriving village of about 85 people. And in 1923, it was so sure of its importance that it expected to be made the county seat of the newly formed Teton County. The town of Jackson was so confident of being chosen that very few of the residents bothered to vote. Kelly put up such a spirited campaign that when the day of voting arrived, Jackson won only by 10 votes. Now, I'll put in here that it's well that Jackson won that, because if it hadn't, all their records, the post office and the county business would have been washed away.